5 Japanese tuner cars that destroy supercars with ease. Mazda FDRX7 Angry Rotary, Lancer Evo IX, Subaru WRX STI, and more. Hello and welcome back to MIA Luxury Cars. For today's video, we will be going to talk about the 5 Japanese tuner cars that destroy supercars with ease. Let's get started. Japan is known for its cuisine, anime, and Alice in the Borderlands. Japan is also a major global provider of high-quality automobiles, from fuel-efficient Econo boxes to face-melting twin-turbo sports automobile. Every auto lover worth his salt has fantasized of a Japanese sports vehicle at some point. The best thing about Japanese automobiles is that they usually punch above their weight. They hold their own against cars costing 3 times as much, even if they couldn't take an Italian supercar down from the factory with a little tinkering. Many Japanese cars can. Number 1. Toyota Supra MK4. The Supra is everywhere in tuner culture. It's basically the iPhone of modified cars. From the roads of Mount Haruna, underground cars meets, and notoriously feared at drag strips, the MK4 Supra is kind of the do-it-all tuner car. The legendary 2JZ block is strong enough and hardy enough to handle up to 800 horsepower without much modification. That means, unlike other tuner cars, the Toyota Supra can be tuned to insane numbers without much work on the bottom end, saving you time and money to smoke supercars. The Supra also has some pretty intimidating looks that back up its supercar slaying performance. The design follows classic sports car ideology. A long front hood packing a big engine under it, followed by a smooth swooping cockpit to a smooth tail end. You just can't go wrong with the Supra. That is until you want to buy one. How much do they cost? That is where things get pretty complicated. A premium example of an MK4 Supra today is going to start around 50 grand and usually go for a lot more than that, like up to 3 times as much as that. The Supra has become a cult classic and car values have taken notice. Number 2. 300ZX Twin Turbo. The 240Z is one of the all-time greatest cars to ever come out of Japan. With its many generations ranging over 50 years, you probably know someone in your life who has had one. Now, over time, the Z car started as a light little sports car, grew into a luxurious grand tour kind of thing, with the Z32 generation. The Z32 300ZX is awesome. It can with a twin-turbo V6 punching out over 300 horsepower depending on what dyno you run it on, and it'll get you up to highway speeds at only 5 seconds, which in 1990 was unheard of, and it's the first car to be designed fully by computers. But what that means is its engine bay has a few packaging problems, meaning that the Z32 is going to be an absolute nightmare to work on or modify. But luckily you're rich, and if you throw enough money at a car, it'll all work out. You can push a Z32 up to 500 or 600 horsepower if you have enough cash in your pocket. And if you cashed in on that game's spot stock, maybe you could afford to build something like the Devil Z, a drag strip demon that really proves what the 300ZX is capable of. Also, the 300ZX Z32 generation is a complicated but fantastic car to own. And luckily, unlike the Supra, you won't have to sell your children to own one. A decent twin-turbo 5-speed 300ZX is going to run you around 15 grand. You know, like a tenth of a good Supra. And all that money you saved not buying a Supra and not buying into the super hyped You can spend on building that thing to insane horsepower numbers. And a fun fact, you can brag to your friends that you actually own a car that has the same headlights as a Lamborghini. Now, the 300ZX is not the only great triangle to come out of the 90s. Number 3. Mazda FD-RX 7. It places your typical piston engine with some spinning geometry. It's the triangular concoction under the hood that makes the RX-7 so special. It is insanely high revving and is able to make tons of horsepower even though it's just a tiny little thing. The infamous Rotary engine boosted the RX-7 to 90s sports car fame as soon as it came out back in 1993. And with an up to 8,000 RPM redline, you will be screaming past all your buddies in their slower sports car. And if somebody complains about all the noises, just let them know you're taking good care of your car, because it is actually recommended to redline your rotary regularly to clear carbon buildup. Head to another drift event in Japan. From amateur to pro, and you will likely to see an RX-7 out of their slaying tires. For good reason, the RX-7 is purpose-built for punching above its weight class. With the right turbo combination, you can see upwards of 700 horsepower out of these. And headphone users beware. If you stretch the red line up above that 8,000 RPM limit, you get this. So yes, you can build your very own tire-slaying, supercar smoking, high horsepower, triangle-powered machine. Just have a few machines as your friends, because rotary engines are temperamental, to say the least. You're going to get very familiar with the term apex seal. Now on to the price. For an FD model with a 5-speed is floating around the $40,000 number. Number 4. Lancer Evo 4. It started as a regular old commuter car, about as special as a Camry, while its bigger brother, the Galant, was having all of the fun. You see, Mitsubishi had been using these large sedans in competition for quite some time, and they had a pretty decent amount of success with it. However, the rules in the World Rally Championship started to change, requiring a smaller car to fit within the regulation. Thus, the birth of the Lancer evolution. As with most other motorsports, homologation rules required that the manufacturer make a street car version of their race car, which is maybe one of the best rules in all racing, because it created the Lancer evolution for the streets. 9 generation and the Lancer had evolved into the most people would consider its best form. This is the most recognizable and most widely known generation of the Lancer Evo, with a full-time all-wheel drive and an ACD system to distribute power. The Evo IX came out of the factory with performance in mind. Right off the gate, the Lancer Evolution was able to keep up with a lot of supercars and even smoke some of them on the track. Seriously, if you haven't seen the Top Gear review of the Lancer Evo, you need to. And pretty easily, most tuned Evos will turn around 500 horsepower with a few mods. But it's not unusual to see some of these pushing upwards of 700. And this is one of the cars on the list that does not sacrifice practicality to be that fast. It's got 4 doors and a trunk, so if you want to light up a Ferrari on the way to hockey practice with all your gearing trunk, the Lancer Evo 9 is definitely the wise decision. It's also a wise decision because they're actually going up in a value because they've been discontinued. Number 5. Subaru WRX STI. Just like the Lancer Evo, the WRX STI is a rally car legend. In fact, Subaru went through the same development progress to get the STI. They've long been dominating the rally world with the Subaru legacy, but those darn regulations meant that they had to make something smaller and lighter. This means Subaru switched to the appraisal platform, added a turbo, pumped in some rally spec goodness into it, and STI was born. Now, several generations later, the Subaru WRX STI has long outlived the Evo it rivaled. Subaru has even promised to continue making STIs for years to come. Subaru WRX STI actually came as a wagon for a long time. Sadly, the newer generations don't. The Subaru WRX STI is the jack of all trades, and thankfully, it's one of the most widely available cars on this list, and so it's pretty cheap on the used market. Most STI models, pretty much despite whatever generation they are, will run you around 20 grand. But sadly, they're not as much as an investment as the Evo because those are appreciating. So, you might lose a little money in a few years. So, what are your thoughts about this topic? Do you think this video was useful? Please let me know by leaving a comment down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please press the like button, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thank you for stopping by to watch. See you on our next video.